Welcome to Truth Telling with Elizabeth DiAlto, the podcast dedicated to focusing on the truth that's always evolving within us and around us, where we explore the potentiality of truth as a highly esteemed value, especially in the context of everything that falls under the topics of healing, growth, leadership, and creativity. If you're new to me, full expression is my jam. I'm the creator of a practice called Wild Soul Movements. I run a year-long women's circle online every year called Power. I run virtual new moon circles every month, weekend workshops all over the planet throughout the year. I do public speaking, I work with clients one-on-one, and I also do stand-up comedy now. This is a place where you can come with your multiple talents and passions to be encouraged, nourished, and cultivated. There's a lot of noise and ignorance in our current culture, and this show aims to cut through that by exploring the truths of a diverse range of incredible voices. From authors, artists, creatives, and educators, to activists, speakers, and those in various scientific and esoteric fields, our guests hail from cultures and countries all over the world. The main intention here is to contribute to creating a kinder, gentler, more curious, collaborative, reverent world where people respect each other's background experiences and truths, and they learn to trust in themselves and life and recognize that we really do need each other. We post a new interview every Monday, and if you want to keep up with the show notes and quotes from our guests, you can follow me on Instagram at Elizabeth DiAlto. A few disclaimers. No episode of the show is meant for everyone, and every episode is meant for whoever needs to hear it on the right day at the right time. Not all guest views will reflect my own, and that's intentional. We don't learn, grow, heal, or improve by staying in our comfortable bubbles with all of our people who look, think, or live exactly how we do. If you love what you hear here and find it useful and inspiring, the best way to show your appreciation is to share the episode, subscribe to the show, and leave us a rating or review wherever you listen from. Thank you so much for being here with me, and now let's get into the show. Omrah, I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking me to do the podcast.
For anyone listening, I still have a little bit of a cold, so pardon my ass voice for the duration of the episode. And for anyone watching, I might literally have to blow my nose at some point. So I will make it not go into the microphone, and we'll deal with it if we have to. But I'm just giving the caveat up front. So Omrah, the only two planned questions I ever have for the interview, the first one is to just bring people's awareness to their bodies and staying connected to themselves. How's your body today? How do you feel?
I feel really good. I didn't work out as I would have liked to because it's always bring my energy level higher, but I'm good. I feel really good. I love my body. I like how I feel in my body. That's the right way to say it.
Great.
Yes.
And the other question is, what is the truth that's having a big impact on your life right now?
The truth is being true to myself. The truth for me, rather to everybody around me that try to kind of think what I should do to be happy instead of being really true to me. What do I need to do, or what do I love to do to make me happy? So this is my truth today. This is how I live my life, what works for me. It's not being selfish, it's being very self-aware. It's still being connected to people and love people, but it's also what makes me happy. So that's my truth, what makes me happy. I think we go through a journey in life and through a lot of things, and then we find out that what really truth is what's true to us and not to other people. I don't know if it makes sense, but this is my...
Yeah, totally. So one of the reasons I was excited to have you on is I just started doing stand-up comedy last summer. Our mutual friend, Sean Lynch, he's a family friend of mine for many years. He was like, you should just do it. Because I've been public speaking forever, and my brother's been doing stand-up for a while. He's like, just try it. I was like, okay. So I've been doing stand-up as a hobby, but over the course of it, I've been able to meet amazing people like you. And I'm such a geek for people's stories, the journey, especially in a place like LA. I'm from the East Coast originally. I know you're not from LA originally either. It's such a bizarre place. So I guess this is where I want to start. How long have you been in LA, and what has your experience been like here?
I've been in LA for 9 years. But I came here at 2005 originally for school. And I stayed here for about almost 3 years because I did my schooling, and then I got a job, an internship, and then I got a job. But then I left because I don't know, I was too attached to my old life, and I had a hard time making the change and coming to a new place. And then in 2009, I made the move. So it's almost 10 years. Yeah, almost been here for 10 years. When I came here, I didn't even know one person. So, and now I know a lot of people, and I'm connected to really wonderful people. So I feel very blessed, and I feel that my intuition and my inner guidance led me to a place that made me really happy. So that's why I'm here. Yeah, that's.
Can I ask, like, what was it? I always love when people are like comedians or creatives or anything, but they had some kind of more like traditional path or other kind of job. I'm always so curious about that. Can you tell me what you used to do or no?
Yeah, I used to do animation and visual effects, which I still do.
Oh, cool.
I still do. I love it. And now I actually combine the animation world with stand-up comedy. So I always been an artist. It's just that now I kind of exploring it in different ways, and it's just an art. It's still an art. It's just a it's an art. I feel myself as I see myself as a very creative person. Even if I don't creative, I think everybody is creative. That we do what we do. Some people like it, some people don't like what they do. But I think after work they end up doing what they like to do. But I think yeah, I had a point. Well, yeah. So I always find myself creating and thinking about creative ideas. So yeah. So I started as an artist, and I'm still an artist. It's just different directions. There's no one way. There's no.
This is so funny to me. So people who listen to the podcast, the show's almost 4 years old, so some people have been listening for a while. They know how this happens. Like, you know how you booked your interview? Like, I just sent you the link and you picked the time. Mm-hmm. So I'll do these batch days where I'll do a bunch of interviews on one day, and you all self-select. Like, I don't plan it this way, but the conversation I literally had right before this one was with my friend Christina Dunbar, who's like a multi-passionate, multi-talented artist, and her big truth was, I am not one thing. And it's just like wild to me that like an hour ago, that was like the thread. And then that's coming up in this conversation too. I geek out on little synchronicities like that. So I guess this is the topic of the day today for us. So as you, because this comes back to the big truth that you shared in the beginning, what are some of the messages and what are some of the things that you have like said no to? Like how people think you should be, or like the path you should follow, and you've decided to do it differently?
I think most of my life was, I think starting as a teenager, I started rebelling. I started finding my own ways. I didn't like school, I have to be honest. I did not like school, and I found people like me, and I know that's not a popular thing. And in retrospect, I wish I did like it, but I wanted to study what I want to study. Mm-hmm. I liked art. I like art. When I said in painting school, in painting classes and drawing classes and ceramic. I love this. That's what I was drawn to. And I didn't like the other subject, and I didn't feel passionate enough to study it. It's funny how later in life we start liking, find interest in other things. But at the time, that's what I really wanted. And so I found people who were like more like free spirit, and my friend were like musicians and people who kind of like follow their inner guidance and just being creative instead of the regular part, I guess, would be finish high school. Here in America, you go to college, and where I came from, we go to the army. So I went to the army for 2 years. And then some people travel after the army in Israel, and some people continue to higher education. I choose to travel, and the notion was like, let her travel. Or, well, I didn't ask anybody, I just did it. But my parents and my family thought, oh, she's coming back, and I never did. So I kind of found that I can explore where I am in different places. I always look for freedom. I always look for like different cultures, different ideas. I was always like fascinated by things that are different. And but even when you do something similar, it's just that I I just find, I don't know, I don't like to, it's hard to kind of verbalize, like to exactly say exactly who you are, but I found myself doing things like that, people would like to see you, like my parents, for example, and I talk about it in the stand-up that my parents wanted me to get married and to have children and to celebrate a holiday, but I choose to be happy. So that's the line that I think sum up me as a
Yeah.
person.
And that is
I follow my happiness.
I've been in the room when you've said that, and that line gets a laugh, right? Like the people who can relate laugh at that and they get it. And listen, I know for some people that does bring them happiness, but this is probably why I was drawn to you. I've always been that same way, like really oriented towards freedom and freedom and being able to explore and not being like tied down by things. So how did you get into stand-up?
Well, who doesn't like to laugh? I always like to laugh. I always like comedy and everything, but it was never like something that I thought I would do. So it started with, I think when my mom passed away, I started feeling uncomfortable. I start feeling that life is not forever. For some reason, with your parents, when you grow up, when you're born, they dare, so you never think they're gonna go away.
Right.
And suddenly, when I got the phone call that she passed away, I was devastated. I crashed. I fell down, and I was like, "What do I do now? How do I cope with it?" So that was the beginning. That comedy didn't come in yet, but then I had two dogs at the time, and then one of my dogs passed away, and then a few months later, my dad passed away, and it was like all together at the same time. And when you start understanding that life is not forever, you start searching. And I've always been searching a lot because I dealt with like addiction in the early time in my life, and so you always search for something for fulfillment. And when death came, it was it's affecting me. It's affected me. So I remember that was at the same time that I decided to move to LA, and I had my other dog with me, and he passed away after a while.
Oh my goodness!
And I know I was completely alone. I felt like my family's gone. I don't have a family. I don't have anything, and I took it. I think at this time, or maybe when my dog was like a little bit at the last few months of his life, I remember I took a stand-up comedy class for some reason. I took it because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to break I wanted to break the stability, kind of like it was all like I don't know if it's the right word. I trying to search for the right word, but like it feels like I was on a treadmill. I didn't do anything different. It's like I kept doing things and kept the same thing and getting the same result. And I wasn't very happy. And I was doing I said, I don't know, I was looking, I think, on Groupon, and they had a stand-up comedy class. I didn't take this one, but I did. It triggered my imagination and kind of like planted the seed. So I went and I, looked for a stand-up comedy class. And I found something in Santa Monica where I live, and they had like a free, I don't know, an hour and a half. And I said, well, why don't I just see what it's like? I've never done this, and I don't know what it's like to do it, I don't know how the process works. And I did it. And after the 1.5 hour, they said, well, we have another hour if you want to sign up. And I said, I'm signing up. And that's it. From that point on, we had the final class at the comedy store, and I fell in love with this place so much that I started going back all the time and just watch comedy, and it felt so good. And I just want to keep being in the environment. And then I was thinking, like, why don't I make my own show? And that's how it started. I mean, it sounds like an unusual way to do it, because some people just know. Some people just know what they want to do. It's amazing. Some people, like, they know, or maybe society expect us to know everything. They expect us when the little kids, they ask you, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know I didn't know what I want to do, but I knew I want to do something in the arts. So the next thing was I don't know, stand-up comedy. But yeah, I still love the other thing that I do, but I just felt so good in this environment. For some reason, I feel that I meet people like me, which they always said comedians or, people hang out in comedy clubs all the time. They're a little bit different. I guess I'm different. So I'm okay with it.
I would say most people who come on the show have not had direct paths to like who they are and what they do. And even a girlfriend, so my internet goes down yesterday actually, like right before podcast batching day. And I'm like, what am I going to do? But my girlfriend lives down the street. So I'm at her house. Again, for anyone watching, she popped in for a second. She was like grabbing something and I waved. But just today at the time that we're recording this, which is probably about a month ahead of when the interview will come out, there's this scandal breaking about all these celebrities who were like bribing people to get their kids into colleges.
I saw this.
Yeah, so I had a little break between interviews. My friend was telling me about it, and we were also saying how fascinating it is. We both went to college, which of course is an enormous privilege for some people. Some people don't have the access and ability to do that, or the resources. And it's like this crazy thing too, for how many people go to college for a thing that they either don't end up doing or don't enjoy. And it's also kind of wild, especially like you said, you're into like personal growth and things like that. To see how different I am now than when I was 18 years old, and to go like, we want 18-year-olds who don't even know who they are to decide like what's the thing they think they want to do for the rest of their lives. It's such a, like, it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, it's usually our parents want us to decide, because I think parents operate from a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about the children. So there's a lot of pressure. What do you want to do? Because we want to make sure that everybody is safe around us. There is this notion that if you know what you want to do, then you have a path, and then we don't have to worry about it so much. So I get it. I wasn't that close with my parents, so I felt like I don't have to report to anybody. Like, I don't know, maybe maybe that's how I feel. Maybe they felt different. I'm sure they worried and they care. I just always look for like a way to find my own way, and it sometimes works for me and sometimes against me, because you look at other people. Oh, I wish I was like following a certain line, and then I'll get there. You always compare yourself to other people. Like, what would my life be if I was married, if I had children? And then you have to step back and say, you know what? I have to list all the things that I do love about my life. So, because they always say compare and despair. Because you're always going to find somebody who's maybe looks on the outside a little bit more exciting or more beautiful or more successful. But, we can't live like this, and because then we don't focus on the now. We focus on like some kind of an illusion or fantasy. Because we always say that we compare our inside to other people outside, right? And somebody's so beautiful, like, and we like inside don't feel good, so we must be a piece of shit. Can I say it here?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. It's so fascinating. Like, one of the things I'm infinitely grateful for, one of the stops on my indirect path to where I am now, was I was a personal trainer for a number of years. And I was in my mid-20s at the time, and I was so grateful. I was living in Hoboken, New Jersey, and just a lot of, by nature of like the demographic that lives there, a lot of my clients were women in like their late 20s to like middle 30s who were just like either just getting married, like I used to train a ton of brides, and just having kids. And I got the perspective from like in the trenches, I'll call it, of like what these experiences were really like, right? Not like the ideal, but what was actually happening behind the scenes. I think this is, I know for sure this is one of the reasons why, and plus also now being in my mid-30s and having a bunch of girlfriends with young kids, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want children. I know I don't want children. I'll be a professional auntie, but I don't want it. And I'm just so grateful for all the people who have shared the like realness of these experiences, because it really gave me the time, kind of like you were saying, because I value freedom so much, to be like, do I even want like this full experience? Not like the idea of it, because there's so much more involved in these things.
Yeah, I know. And don't get me wrong, I have nieces and a nephew, and I love them. And my dogs, I love so much. And then at the time after my dog passed, I fostered another dog. I went to adopt him, but his owner took him back after it was 2 years on and off, which was very difficult. But I have so much love to give, and I love taking care. But I gotta watch out of it. I gotta watch out from it, because the attachment is so strong that I find myself giving up my life for others, which is great, but you really have to want it. And I choose that I don't want to. I know people are going to judge me and tell me that I'm selfish, but I don't have
Not
children for
here.
this reason. Not here. You see, but this is the beauty, or this is the advantage that we have living in a big city. When you live in small places, you have to fit in, you have to join in, otherwise you're an outsider. Like, I come from a culture that is very family and children oriented. So if you don't do this, somebody look at you like something is wrong with you, and they
Yeah.
actually feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
So when you live in a big city, you find your own people. There is one for everyone. Like, I mean, I always say that, like in West Hollywood, it's very comfortable to live if you're gay and a lesbian. I'm just saying it. I'm not, and people who have dogs, they like to live in like in Malibu, like you, right? And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't have like the whole layout of Los Angeles where you want to live. But I'm just saying that you find here, you have an option to find people who are like-minded, which in some small places, you don't have enough people and you feel like something is wrong with you, like an outsider. So I'm very happy to live in big cities, because then it gives me it gave me the freedom to be who I am without the judgment. Because people will judge you. Most people will judge you. People will judge you because they want you to fit in. It's like, it's uncomfortable if somebody is doing something different. Like, it's almost like if you're around people who are like overweight and suddenly you lose weight, people feel like, oh, what, you're better than me? Like, I'm gonna sound bad. People are gonna judge me.
It's the compare and despair thing, like you're saying, right? Like, people are also, I think, a piece of it, kind of like what you're saying in the small towns. And we have a lot of podcast listeners who do live in smaller towns, and they love, even though it's online, they love the digital community because it helps them get out. Like, I've had a lot of women over the years tell me they feel like they fit in with us, even though, sometimes they may or may not ever meet each other in real life, but at least they can connect in our groups and in our spaces. And I know some of what you're saying are generalizations, but some people, I'm sure, can super relate.
I don't want to make your audience angry, because it's just snippet of my thinking. My thinking are way more broad, and I have a lot of deep understanding, because I went through the journey of like being overweight for some time. So I want people to know that I'm not judging. I'm actually relating to all of this.
Yeah.
When I talk about things, it's come from a lot of time from my own experience and my own journey.
Our people get that. They are trained to be more curious before they judge or point the finger. But also, we're critical thinkers around here.
Yeah.
And even like the things that you're saying show that you're just being mindful and acknowledging that like people have different experiences. And to me, that is respectful. So I also love, I don't love that it happened, and this is why it happened, but we've had people on the show, we've had a couple different episodes about grief, and it's always fascinating what these like big life moments, like the blessing on the other side of it, right? Like, when you're right up in it, you don't want to be like looking for the blessings. That's so insensitive. But later on, to look back and be like, wow, this experience of feeling so alone is actually what led me to doing this thing that I love. So you tour all over the country now with famous comedians. And like, I follow you on Instagram, and I love seeing you in like these random places. Like, I think, were you in Arkansas recently?
No, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and before I was in Missouri.
Missouri was what?
Yeah. So I've been in other places too. So yeah, I just I keep saying yes for things that comes my way, and I try not to lead my life with fear, just like with like abundance, which is very hard. Like you say, oh, okay. But I surround myself with people that I trust. So I don't mind if you build like really strong relationship with people, and you have friends, and you know that, you know them, and they know, and it's going to be okay. Then you just take the chance and you do it, and one of the things that I didn't grow up here. So for me, everything is so exciting, and it's like so. I feel like I live in life in a wonder, because everything is kind of new. So I'm so grateful. I try. It's always very easy to always be grateful because we get into like dark places. But yeah, I try to always shift your focus into I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful. So anything that happens, and you're so right. You're so right about what you said about the difficult moment in our life. It's sometimes where the blessing comes.
Mm-hmm.
And after my dog died, so that was most difficult things for me because he was like the last one that I don't know. I loved him so much, and when he was gone, wow, it was so hard. It was like I just wanted to. I'm like I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to live without because I did everything with him.
Mm.
It was my I don't know. It was part of my heart, my soul. So. I'm very lucky that I have really good friends. And one of my friends, she gave me this assignment and she said, why don't you write down from the beginning that you can remember everything that like you thought was like the biggest tragedy in your life or the biggest loss. Find like if there was like what is the biggest gain out of it, and it was such a beautiful process because you start digging into like places time that you thought like, oh, my life is over, I can't keep going, and then you look at your life like a few years later and then you think like, oh my god, if this didn't happen I wouldn't have this, right? If my dog, I mean, I he's like my soul and I love him, but if it was like almost 14 when he passed. So he had like a really good life, and I hope I gave him the best life. But I feel like, it was time for him. I had to accept it because I didn't accept it for a long time. I was fighting it. I was like making a deal with God all the time. If you bring him back, I will do this. It was a very long grieving process. But then I accepted that he's not coming back. And then, okay, what do I do now? So I had so much space in my life that I started finding things to do. And that's led me to really get into comedy in full swing. And a lot of wonderful things came out of it. So, I mean, would I like to have him in my life? I was looking at video today of him. I still do. It was almost 5 years ago. And I'm still looking at video and I cry and emotion. But wouldn't I like to have him right here? Of course I would. But I'm not God. I don't make those choices. God decided it was his time,
I think this is so beautiful. I last week I was on Facebook and I was reading someone's post about like their last moments with their dog. I have to tell you, over the last several years, like I'm quick to cry. I'm like very sensitive and I have a lot of empathy. So things make it like I could cry at like a Tide commercial. But when I think of things that have just like taken me out that I've read on social media in the last few years, it's been these posts about people losing their pets.
Yeah.
It's like the companionship. Like I didn't have a pet in my house until I was 14, and then we got a cat, and I never really bonded with the cat, and then I went over to college. So I've technically like never really had pets. So I have no idea, but the way people share these visceral experiences, I'm always like so blown away by it.
No, yeah, look, it's the connection with a pet, and I've experienced with dogs, so I never had a cat, but I love cats, but I don't know the experience. But with a dog, I mean, they never judge you, they never criticize you. They love you. They're with you all the time. They're always available. Their love is always available for you, like 100%. Like there is no like, oh, I don't want to love you today. You did it. It's always 100% love and acceptance. The acceptance that we need is always there. Like you come home and your dog is happy to see you, and everywhere you take him, you just want to be with you. What an amazing love, with you, and it's never like it. So
right.
That's what I said. It was harder for me to lose my dog and to lose everyone else because I feel like his love was so pure.
Yeah.
It was never, I was always good enough for him, and that's we want to be, that's a human thing. We just want to be accepted and we want to be loved. That's it. What else? Yeah, really.
It's basically the core of everything.
Exactly. Loving ourselves. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, it's just, yeah, I like I said, wouldn't I love to have him around me all the time? But learning to accept is another step that I had to go through. accepting life on life's terms. Like, this is what it is. This is life.
Yeah.
How do I make the best out of my life? Because our time here is not forever. It's a limited time, and we want to want to have a good experience while we're here.
So I want to shift a little bit. I have a question that I know I get this sometimes from people. So when you moved to LA and you didn't know anyone, and then now you said you have so many amazing friends, how did you make friends? People ask me this, like, as an adult, how do you make friends?
Okay, so when I came here, I went to school, right? So I met people that like to do what I like, and they enjoy a lot of the activity in a way. So like I was studying visual effects, so we were staying in the lab to do our homework and to study. We stayed until every day till like, I don't know, 1 a.m. or something. So the people who stay that long, that people, like-minded people, that they love what they do. So you start connecting, you start talking, you start going to eat with them, and you take breaks with them, and now you have people that you hang out with. And it's the same thing with everything. I find what I like. I like running. I like exercise. I like art. I like to take art classes. So I meet people. When I want to do what I love, I meet people who are doing what they love, and we connect. And that's how you meet friends. People say, how do you meet friends? What do you like to do? Oh, you like to draw? Go to drawing class. And I'm sure you're going to meet people who are like you, and you're going to start talking to them, and then you maybe do something out because I'm sure you're going to like similar movies, and I'm sure you're going to like maybe certain activities, and slowly, not everybody's going to be your friend, but you're going to meet a lot of people. So you have like big social life, and you're going to be invited to things, but not everybody's going to be your friend, like a close friend, I mean. But eventually you meet the people that, around you more. And I have like, when I started to produce the comedy shows, I have a friend who I knew from, we took together I met him in a relationship seminar because I love this topic. And here we go.
Which one? Can you tell me which one? I geek out on that stuff too.
Really? Oh, this is like, I was in the same one yesterday. It used to be once a week. Now it's once a month. There was this wonderful lady that I love, and she really have a lot of influence in my life. Her name is Pat Allen, Dr. Pat Allen.
Oh, I'll look
I don't know her. I don't know if you know her, but I love this woman. She is an incredible lady, and I met a lot of people there because I consistently going. And there is another thing, and my friend was telling me this. She said you can't expect to go to a place one time and get connected to people.
Yeah.
You have to come back.
Yeah.
If you come back enough, people are gonna start recognize you. You start having hi, and a conversation, and then you just get to know people, and then eventually they said, hey, I don't know. I mean, people. That's how you meet people. You go to the places you like to do. Yeah. I like comedy. I go to comedy all the time, so I start meeting people who love comedy. So they invite me there to another comedy show and another comedy club, and I invite them, and this is how we become connected. And we love comedy. So, if we go to movies, we probably go to a movie that we both like. I don't know. I like visual effects. So the people that like visual effects, we like those action movies, the Avengers,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how, animation. Like I like Pixar movies. So I have friends who I go to Pixar movie. I mean, that's how you get to know people. You do what you love. You can go and meet up, and there's so many group of people, so many different group, and you find people like to run, and people like to do ceramic, and people like to oil painting, and people like I don't know, walking, I don't know, hiking. I mean, that's how you meet people.
This is a really good point that like you have to go consistently. You have to keep showing up. One of my favorite things to do here in LA is salsa dancing.
Yes.
And many years ago, I lived here many years ago, and then I came back. I started to connect with people, and then I moved away. And then I came back, and like I've started going again. It's literally the same people, like week in and week out, at all the different venues, all the different places, and it's so amazing. But you're right, like going, like how I'm wondering if you have found, and I know you don't speak for all people who are not from the United States, is this like a U.S. thing, like an American culture thing, like that instant gratification, or is that just like a human thing? Like
I
I
think
feel
it's
like
human thing.
it's just human. That's everywhere.
I think it's a human thing. There's something about people will find about this diet pill, and they take it and they think this is gonna fix all my problem right now. I'm not gonna eat for a few days. I'm gonna be skinny and I'm gonna be happy for the rest of people. Want right now. We expect to like go out one night to a bar and see the man that we think
Yeah.
we look at across the room, we see a perfect man for us, right? We think he's perfect because nobody's perfect. And then I look in his eyes. That's a fantasy. It's not
Right, right.
it's not true, but it's a fantasy. So he looks in my eyes, I look in his eyes, and then we start talking and we kissing and we have sex and we live forever, like happily ever after. And people want everything now. They want to meet the guy right now. They want to have the sex right now. They want to have the happiness right now.
Yeah.
People don't want to work. And that's one of the things that I learned in life. And I took a lot of classes in spirituality. And so I love, I'm going to talk about it. I love the Kabbalah studying. I study a lot of it. And it is so profound. I learned so much about the journey that we actually appreciate things that we work hard for. Everything that comes easy goes easy. Like easy come, easy go. It's not just to say, it's true. It's like we have the thing, we want everything right now. We want like, I don't want to put down men. I love men. They're great, but they want to meet a girl and have sex at the same night.
Right.
But you know who they actually fall in love with? And I'm not putting down one night stand. There's some great relationship that came out of it. But men actually love when they have to work hard for something, when they have to earn. It's all life. We appreciate when we earn things. Then we feel like, this was so amazing. This thing is so amazing because I work hard. I work so hard and I earn it. When we get something without working, it's wonderful, and don't get me wrong, I love, to get this stuff easy. But I do appreciate things that come a little bit with a little bit extra work. Then I feel like I earn it, and I learn something. I become a certain person in the process.
I find a lot of the things that just appear to quote like show up are actually the result of all kinds of other work that we've done, maybe even on like subtle or spiritual levels, or, that we've been improving ourselves or that we've been treating ourselves better or having better boundaries. And then like most things that really do like either bring us joy or align for us or whatever, like whether we realize it or not, like we put in some kind of work to get them. And I'm not about like the hustle mentality, right? Like I'm never going to be the person out here going, just work harder, right? Like I don't mean like that because there's like a broad definition, and I think you've touched on some of them of like what work actually is, right? There's like the actual showing up, putting yourself out there. Like even when you were talking about making friends, that's really vulnerable. It's really vulnerable to show up in places and go do things like by yourself. I've moved to many different cities over the course of the last decade. It's like every time I'm in a new place and I'm like, all right, like time to go somewhere by myself again and like be the person in the room who doesn't know anyone again. And like I do stuff like that all the time, and like eventually it gets a little easier, but it's always nerve-wracking.
It's very hard. I have a sister, and we used to do everything together. We did everything together. We went out together. We had friends together and everything together. And when she met her husband, a boyfriend at the time, a husband, she started like doing things with him, and I felt like left alone. I was very how do I live life? What do I do now? And I had to go to places on my own. I had to like find like single places, a single event, blah blah blah, and just learn to show up by myself, because there was this fear like, what am I gonna do? How I'm gonna talk? And you start like pretending you're too busy on your phone because you feel so awkward. And so we do have this like like awkwardness about like being by yourself. But the more you do it, it's like everything else. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. It's think about it, going to the gym. In the beginning, you're like, oh, I'm weak. I'm not, running fast enough. I don't know. All this like, I'm not, I don't. I don't exercise enough. I don't know. My body's not beautiful, but the next time you go, you feel a little bit better. The next time you go, a little bit better. You feel a little bit better, and then I don't know. After like a few months, you build muscle and you look nice, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't believe I can. I can come here. I didn't. So it's everything that you keep doing. That's what I tell people. If you want to do something, just do it. I mean, I give this to myself because I have my own fear, my own thing that I have to deal with. But I have to remind myself that if I just do it, it's gonna get easier. If I just keep doing it, it's gonna get easier. And that's what it is. I like, you want to get good with women or you want to get good with guys, just go out and meet people and just talk to people. It's not easy. It's not easy, but I'm just saying that's how do you get good in something? You just do it. I don't know,
practice.
all the Olympic the Olympic runners or players or whatever, they at some point in their life they were beginners like everybody else, and then you just keep doing it. And the key is actually to want to do it to if you really want to do it, then you go out, put yourself out there and do it. So,
I feel this way with comedy right now. So I'm curious, so you've been doing comedy now for like 10 years?
Oh, no.
I've been trying to like clock the timeline, but I might have gotten it wrong.
Yeah, you got it. No, I didn't. No, so I started in 2015 to do all. I know. Yeah, 2015 I started. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So not even nearly that long. Do you still get nervous?
Sometimes, but you just, sometimes, you just, I don't know. I go into my thinking and said, how is this person is doing it? How is this person is doing it? And I try to get like good reference point of people who just go out and do it. And so I just go on stage and just do it. You get kind of like we all want to be approved, right? We want approval and we want to be liked and we want people to think we are the best thing that ever happened to this planet. But, you just do it and you do what you do and you learn from it. Yeah. The thing is, that's the learning process. Every time you do something, you learn something new. So, I mean, we all want everything to be successful, but I think we learn from things that don't work more than things that do work. Because if you go on stage and it didn't work out so as well as you were hoping, then you're like, okay, what didn't work? If everything works, you just you feel, well, I don't have to do anything now.
Do you remember, have you ever bombed, like really bombed, like bad?
Yeah, and I had a guy that I really liked him to see me.
No way.
That's okay. I don't care. I don't care about it anymore.
How did you bounce back from like that first real like big one? I haven't had one yet. I'm like waiting. Everyone's like, it'll come. I'm like, I know it's gonna come. So I'm like, how do you bounce back from it?
Don't do it. You see, our thinking create a reality. So if you say I'm gonna bomb, at some point you're gonna bomb. Don't. Always think positive. Positive thinking is so important, and because that's what's gonna take you through the time that you're not going to do as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you're always going to do well, but I mean, it's all perception too. It's all like our thinking, how we perceive it, or how we kind of process what happened. And if I have a friend that no matter what happened, you always think it's amazing, and I'm like, oh, I want to be like this.
I'm kind of like that.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Because it's fun. Like, it was fun. It was entertaining. It makes for a good story. Like, there's always something great about it. So
you have nothing to worry about. I have I don't, by default, I don't think like this. And that's why I love watching him. He's like, you always see something and like, oh, we can do this. Like, he never, like, I have a tendency to like, oh my God, it's not perfect, right? I'm very such a perfectionist. Like, oh my God, it's not perfect. So I can't see the good stuff, right? Because I'm like, I always focus on what not perfect. And and I'm learning from him a lot. And it's like, oh, but this is great, and this is great, and this is great. So the result, it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
So it's all a state of mind, and I have to learn it, and I have to switch it. I have to learn to switch it, and I'm slowly. It's practice. You practice, and you get better in it of positive thinking and good thinking, and not focus on what didn't work and focus on what worked. And you're not always gonna have it. perfect. But yeah, I mean,
One of the
so
things that's wild to me is how like the same exact jokes can like kill in one room and just bomb in another room.
that's right.
That's
Yes.
so wild to me.
But it's delivery, it's the energy, it's the way the joke is being constructed or was told. It's also the dynamic with the audience. There
Yeah.
is so much to stand-up comedies. That's why I love, 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 love. Did I say love enough? I
Yeah.
love stand-up
Yeah.
comedy so much because it's limitless and the
Yeah.
experience is completely different every time. So yeah, I mean, I just love the process, and I love watching it because I learn so much from watching it from other people. So yeah, it's never going to be the same. No matter what, it's never going to be the same. It's just going to be different, and yeah, and you're just gonna live it what it is and learn from it. Yeah, I mean, I like I don't know. I do shows in different places with different audience, and actually, it's very thrilling because I never know if people because I do
You
have an accent.
literally never know.
I have an accent, and people are not familiar with my culture as much. You know, I think everybody knows everything about you know, my country and stuff, but a lot of people don't. And you know, um, every country perceive you differently. It's based off the information that they receive. So I used to
Right.
think that people know about Israel everything that I know, and as an Israeli or somebody who grew up there and you know, had the experience that I had, it's completely different than Americans had. So so you know, I sometimes I feel like, oh, people won't get me, but I learned slowly how to bring this the culture, and people actually embrace it. So it's good.
Can I
You
tell you
learn it.
something I admire about your culture so much, like that I think we could really benefit from here in the United States if people like had to go into the military and like had to get some kind of discipline training. Like I don't want to romanticize it. I just want to be careful about like not romanticizing it. But there's something about like discipline, camaraderie, having to function in a team environment, having to do things you wouldn't necessarily choose or want to do. Like I feel like there's a lot of privilege, a lot of people who are very spoiled here, and that it could actually be just like a really useful thing because you said it's 2 years, right?
Yeah, for women, for guys, it's 3 years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a very good thing for the for you know it's I think it's on a social level it's very good thing because it's bringing people together from different
Right,
part of the
right,
country
right.
and different social economic and different cultures because Jewish people come to Israel from many different countries, so it's kind of like and you end up living in a place that people are very much like you and came from the same social economic and maybe even because people tend to be around people are
Right.
similar to their culture because it's very comfortable. But then when you, at least it's like here, when you go to college, you meet people from so many different
Right, right.
places and you get exposed to different different cultures. And so it's the same thing in Israel. And I think the army, it's a good experience. Yeah, I wish it wasn't as necessity as it is, but on a
Right.
social level, it's a good experience for people because you get to meet other people you would never meet otherwise, you know? So
I want to come back to, so you organize shows. I was actually at your show the other weekend when I accosted you after because I was like, I gotta have you on the podcast.
thank
But
you.
I was dying. I actually haven't laughed so hard and I can't even remember when. One of the comedians, his name was Jimmy Schubert, I think.
Yes, isn't it amazing?
This man, and this is what I love about, I had never gone to so many comedy shows of like not famous people, you know, like I've loved comedy since I was a kid, and I would always just like watch the big specials on like HBO or Netflix or like go to my favorite comedian shows. But since I got to LA, like I go to the Comedy Store, I'll go to the Improv, or I'll go to like even like lesser known clubs. Flappers is where I met you doing Sean's show. And there's so many different types of funny. And this guy was just like pounding out these, like, I couldn't breathe. There was a moment of being like, am I ever going to be able to breathe again? Because I was laughing so hard. And it was so fun. And it was such a variety of people in that show. So I guess as we kind of start to wrap up here, I'm such a geek for like creative process and like
Hmm.
thought processes around like when you put together a show, like, is there any rhyme or reason to that? Is it, I would imagine it's probably a combination of like who's available and also who do you think would go well together. But like, how do you even put together that lineup of people?
I don't know. I mean, over time, you just trust your gut feeling.
Yeah.
But by the way, I just want to say that Jimmy Stewart is super famous. I mean, this guy is like he's been around for a long time, and he's like incredible. It was Mitzi Show, one of the favorites, so he's like he's a legend.
He
So
like
he has a new special, so I suggest everyone watch it because he's
oh my
incredible.
God, he was
He's
so.
incredible. Yeah.
I was crying, and the guy next to me was actually tapping because I have a really loud laugh. The guy next to me was like, "This dude's funny, but I'm laughing even harder because you're like." I was like, it was like,
Yeah.
I was like scream laughing. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't breathe. I had tears. He was so, and this is another really good point, right? Just because like I had never heard of him before, like you're saying he's super famous. Like there's just so many people to know.
Yes, yes. But going back to your question, I love comedy, and this is how I started. Just because I love it, I just like went to comedy clubs and just
Yeah.
started watching comedy. And I think maybe one of the thing is that because English is not my first language, I'm
Uh-huh.
so fascinated by the English words, and like I find that comedians are brilliant, like how
Yeah.
they put ideas in, like you take like a whole big idea and you put in one sentence and you put the words in a so perfectly or great order
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's kind of like it, it's brilliant. I love it. I love comedy. I love it. It's all words. It's all one person on stage with a microphone. There is no
Yeah.
band. There is
Yeah.
no
There's no
I mean,
backup.
nothing. It's just one person with a mic, and you sit and you watch this person. You can potentially sit and watch it's for hours and
Yeah.
hours, and it's
Yeah.
incredible. So this is I want to get this out of the way that I really love it. So I just go to comedy basically almost every night. I go out and I watch comedy all the time. I watch it and watch it. And when I meet somebody that I really like, or just like, I love a lot of comedians, and again, I try to connect with them. And then when I put the show together, I try to say, okay, I have a list of people that I really, really love, and I reach out and see who is available. And my shows are on Saturdays. So Saturdays when most of comedians like go out of town to make, for touring and show.
Right.
But there are people that, but it's all good because some people stay. So it's
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
combination of like who is available, who I love, and who I want to see on my show. Because after a while, I've been doing the show for what it's gonna be like almost 4 years or something. So we have
Cool.
like a fan base. Like we have
Mm.
people come to the show on a regular basis, and I was thinking like, oh my God, they're gonna love this guy. Oh, they're gonna love this girl. They're gonna love these people. They're gonna love these comedians. So I always think about my audience, and which
That's
are a lot
cool.
of them are my close friend, and I know what they would like.
Yeah,
So we are
I sat with
connected.
your people.
Yeah,
You put me
that's
on
right.
the reserve
You came by
spot.
yourself. I said, hey, you're a good
Right. Oh,
night
that's
friend.
right. We were talking about this. Yeah, I came by I just rolled up by myself. I was coming to watch Sean, but yeah, obviously he was back with the comedians.
Yeah, I have like that night. I have the whole sofa was my friend, and the whole like top, the balcony were all my friends too. So I'm like, I have all like, I love doing it because I have my friends coming and we're having a blast, and it's like it's such a feel good thing. It's like you laugh, you hang out with your friend, and you just have a great night together.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's for
so
me.
fun. And
Yeah,
I mean, this is one of the things that I love so much about comedy. Like, there's always going to be so much nonsense going on in the world, right? Like, you never
yeah,
know who's going through grief, who lost someone, who lost a pet, who's having just like a hard experience, lost their job, like relationship, whatever is the challenge, health issue. But like for an hour or 2 hours, you could just go laugh.
oh,
And like what that does for your health, for your body, even like the oxytocin, being around other people, like even like chemically in your body, it's good for you.
yes. It keeps you young looking, it keeps you young in spirit, and it keeps you happy. And who wouldn't want to be around happy people? when you meet people, if somebody complains and say all the time, I'm sick, I don't feel good, blah, 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 and give you all the like the laundry list of all the things he's not happy about, like, would you want to spend more time with this person? Oh, but when you meet somebody who's so happy about life, you say, oh, I want more of it. Like, so laughter and happiness, that's correlated. I love it. I mean, I'm so like happy and feel lucky that I found it, because it is like, it's brought me, I came to the point that I was searching for something and I found something that makes me happy. It made me happy. I mean, I have friends, I know people who are doing it from being since they were teenagers, because that's what they love to do, and they knew what they love to do. I wasn't this person. I had a different journey, but I love my journey. Wouldn't I like to do it since I was a teenager? Yeah, because I'd probably be in a bit different place. But I actually love the place that I am at right now. It's actually a pretty good place, and I know that with hard work and dedication, you can always move forward.
I love to hear this. For some reason, I assumed that you had been doing it for so much longer. Yeah, I love to hear that, because same, like I've only been doing this for like 9 months, and I have been mostly treating it like a hobby.
I didn't know. I thought you were doing it much longer. I see all your Instagram posts, and I think this woman is so comfortable with herself. I mean,
well, I've been
she must be doing it forever.
You know what? This was an interesting thing about comedy. I've been speaking, like public speaking and doing like trainings and stuff like that since I was 19. So I have many years under my belt of like being on stage and being in front of groups of people, which I didn't realize until I actually started doing stand-up. That's like a big chunk of it, is getting comfortable on the stage. So like I'm working on like my joke writing and stuff like that, but that big, like the vulnerable part, the part that like makes people really nervous, that's the part that I actually have a lot of practice with. So that part has come pretty naturally and been a lot of fun. So, okay, where is your preferred place for people to follow you and find out about all your shows and stuff?
Yeah, Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. I post all the time on Instagram. I'm probably going to post a clip of this podcast and to tell people that to go and watch the podcast.
Amazing.
And
thank you.
Yeah, and so I love Instagram. Actually, I like that it's good for people like me with they don't like to watch like something for like a video for 30 minutes or 2 hours.
Right. I'm with you. I have no patience for that stuff.
1 minute, that's good for me. Just give me 1 minute and I got it. So if you cannot condense your idea in 1 minute, maybe it's time to go back and work on it. But no, I love Instagram. It's my favorite. And
so her Instagram is her name. So OMRAH and then MENKES.
Yeah, Omrah Menkes. And I'm going to post more stuff. I'm going to start doing some animation that do some exciting things. So, but I always post my show and how to get tickets and how to connect with me and the whole thing. So, awesome. Yeah. And also I'm on Facebook, Omrah Menkes. So you can find me on Facebook. I'm not very active on Twitter. I'm not like a very, on Twitter, you have to be like really a little bit aggressive. And with the way I don't know. So I love to visit Twitter to see what's going on Twitter, but I'm not very active. So, but cool. Instagram and Facebook definitely. Cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for indulging, all of my questions. I know this is the thing I love about having a podcast. Like I literally just get to follow all of my curiosities and ask whatever I'm interested in. So thank you so much for being generous with your time and yourself and your journey and all that stuff. Everyone listening, follow Omrah. Thank you for listening. Share the interview if you dug it, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
And the dangerous thing that I think that I see show up as pathology or issues in the body is when people don't allow a thought or a feeling because, no, I wouldn't feel that way. And then they sweep all the shit under the rug, and then it bubbles. And then, the body starts to have to process that as, a psychic or emotional food.